And so I developed the world's first ever computational proof that it's possible to throttle down a solid fuel rocket motor using software.
Welcome back, episode number 21 of The Meadow. We are joined here today by
Ryan Westcott.
Veer Bagia.
Wow, welcome. Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. Tell me about yourselves. Where are you from?
Go for it, Veer.
I'm from the first floor.
Yeah. That's pretty far.
Yeah, I'm from Olympia, Washington.
Oh, okay. Olympia, Washington.
Yeah.
Nice. Is it nice up there?
Oh, it's really nice.
What's the weather like?
It's like here except 10 degrees colder and rainy 9 months of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you hear about Cal Poly SLO?
Oh, it's just a good engineering school. So I'm a CS major. So
Okay, computer science. Yeah. What do you want to do with that?
Oh God, probably software development, something in cybersecurity, maybe data science. I have no idea. We'll find out.
Cool. All right. What about you? Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
So actually just about 2 hours south of this guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Funny story. My family, we have a summer cabin on the water up in Washington, like
Okay.
10, 15 minutes away from where this guy lives.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
And when I was doing virtual slow days, like orientation for Cal Poly here, I was actually up in Olympia. And Veer was in my group, and we were talking, and Veer was like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Olympia." I was like, "No way, I'm in Olympia."
That's funny, actually.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What's your major?
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Okay. What do you want to do?
I want to build cool shit.
Yeah?
I mean, I've always built stuff.
Okay.
I like using my hands. I kind of came into mechanical engineering here because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do within engineering.
Gotcha.
I know I want to be an engineer. But whether that's mechanical, aero, electrical, I don't really know. And so mechanical is sort of a good, broad, general discipline.
This school has a great engineering program. So
It really
You
does.
came to the right school.
Thanks.
How'd you pick this one? Was there other options?
Yeah, so I applied to 12 colleges.
Wow, okay. That's a lot.
Half of them were in California. I love it down here. There's just something about the weather, the people.
Yeah.
The culture, it's just a cool place down here. So that's why half of them were here. Out of the ones I was accepted into, Cal Poly was the best in California. It was pretty much down between Cal Poly and Lehigh University on
Where's
the East
that?
Coast.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
And Lehigh offered me a pretty good scholarship into their honors program, engineering program. And so it was actually like a mixed engineering and business program, which is like exactly what I'm interested in.
Very cool.
And so I'm really fortunate for that. But like California, I just knew was going to be where I was going to be happy.
Yeah.
Through that, just I knew California was where I was going to be the most productive.
You think you are? You happy and productive here?
I'm really happy, really
Yeah.
productive here.
What's the transition been like from, coming home, coming to college? Has it been hard on you guys?
I've been pretty excited, honestly. I think I was really excited for college. I took a gap year last year, so
Oh, really?
I was a senior in
you're
2020. Almost 20.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I was a senior in 2020. COVID hit. Beforehand, I kind of wanted to take a gap year, and then COVID was kind of that thing that was like,
Yeah.
don't want to do my freshman year online.
No.
Let's just take a gap year and then come back later. And
Smart.
yeah,
Now you're here.
yes.
What about you? Was the transition hard?
No, not at all. I actually really love it here. It's
Cool.
Yeah.
I miss my family. Do you miss your family?
Of course.
It's a little hard, and your friends back at home. But
That's the hardest part.
the thing
people.
about Cal Poly is the people here are very nice, and everyone is like very outgoing, and everyone, you can find your home in some sort of group
Very easy.
here at Cal Poly.
Yeah.
What's the plans for the rest of the year? What are your hopes out of college in these rest of the 3 quarters? What are your hopes?
I guess get my degree, have a fun time doing it, and I guess more so just build experience. Maybe get an internship, just do plenty of fun side projects.
Did you go to the career fair?
I did, yeah.
What'd you look at?
What I look at, well, there were 2. I went to a CS specific career fair, and I looked at, like various CS firms, like Amazon was there, Raytheon was there. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Like Amazon comes out to these career fairs.
Amazon has an office in SLO.
Oh, really?
Not because they really, have a lot going on in SLO. It's because they want to recruit out of here.
Oh.
It's actually one of the reasons I ended up coming here. It's because my dad works for Amazon. And they recruit, each group of group in Amazon has like an acceptable list of colleges where you can where they like to pull their people from.
Yeah.
And Cal Poly's just on that list like everywhere. So
Why computer science? Like, growing up, what made you pick computer science?
my dad was a double E, electrical engineer, and he does a lot in the software. So it was just, I just grew up doing light amounts of programming for fun, and it's just I always say that it's like being a doctor at this point. Like it's like not knowing your own body to not know the machines around you. You know what I mean?
Is that how it feels at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's like I feel like it's akin to studying medicine or something.
Yeah, I mean, computer science is really crazy. The money that comes out of that, like, I've heard like a few people that graduated from UCLA, and they get jobs like in Silicon Valley for computer science, and they're just making like 100,000 right off the start.
100 is actually like on the lower end.
That's the lower end?
Yeah.
Oh.
I know someone.
Okay.
Like on the higher end, you get people come out of college making like 200K a year.
That's
nuts.
crazy.
Stupid crazy.
It's nuts, man.
What does computer science even consist of? Is it just like coding and like?
Yeah, it's
what is it?
It's like the discipline of. Okay, so we have like a software engineering major as well. That's kind of like literally the discipline of just writing code. Whereas this is what's a good analogy? I guess this is like architecture versus like actually building buildings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
all right.
yeah.
Oh, cool. What about you? How come you wanted to be a mechanical engineer?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing engineering for like as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
It was really just like a passion as a kid. Like I said earlier, always building stuff, designing things. When I was young, I was out in the garage a lot. Just building, random things, go-karts.
Really?
Working on cars with my dad. Any projects you could think of.
Yeah, that's cool. Wow. So what's your dream with this? What do you want to be? What's the end all be all?
Really the goal is to do my own thing. So engineering's my main passion. That's my driving force behind everything. But business and sort of taking that, or I guess figuring out how to take that engineering passion and actually use it to impact people. That's sort of like the secondary driver behind what I do.
Yeah.
So I've worked on a number of businesses before. And I'd really like to continue that forward, taking things from my engineering world that I can build and then actually pushing them out into the real world, turning them into products, actually helping people that way.
That's dope. That's really dope.
Thanks.
Do you have any other passions? Any like side hobbies? You talked about, well, this is funny. I'll explain the story. I was sitting in here because I could not find any guests because it's midterm week for those of you that don't know. And it's a little hard to get some guests right now. So, but I was sitting in here and you happened to walk by and you said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just about to film a podcast, but I need some guests." And then, 10 minutes later, we're here. So thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah.
But what were we talking about? Loki forgot.
Side passions.
Yes. Do you have a side passion? Because videography use.
Yeah. I guess my main side passion is creating visual content. I love photography. Love videography. Anything that has to do with cameras. It's very much not something that I really do as a business or anything.
Yeah.
I do fly drones and do some freelance videography stuff.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to get a license for that, right?
Yeah.
Flying drones?
FAA Part 107. I'm in the process of getting mine right now.
Okay.
But my partner that I've worked on with a number of projects in the past, he has his.
That's sick.
And so as long as I fly with him on projects, I'm certified under that.
What do you do with it? Like what kind of projects?
Oh man, we've done real estate stuff. We just finished a big project for our former high school.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
They just built a new gym, and so I did a bunch of drone flying on the outside, getting a lot of really cool shots, like orbiting around the building.
Yeah.
Taking time lapses, videos of the construction, all that good stuff.
There's some good money in that because it's a fairly new kind of job.
Yeah. For drones in particular, just being able to see stuff from the sky in like crazy quality is something that like 5 years ago would cost you like $200,000 to shoot like something.
And now you can do it by yourself.
You can do it now today for like $1,200 maybe.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is.
Do you have a YouTube channel or anything? Or
I do.
You do? Oh, you do. What is it?
If you just look me up, Ryan Westcott,
Okay.
RYAN, and Westcott is WESTCOTT.
What kind of things do you post?
Post some engineering stuff on there.
Okay.
I need to start posting some more drone stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just been a hobby, but I've got like tons of stuff sitting on my hard drive that I just need to edit and get out there.
Super sick. That's dope.
Thanks.
Do you have any passions?
Oh God. I just really like, you know, talking to people. I guess that's a huge one for me. It's just I find just the way people interact with one another to be very interesting, and so I just find myself like talking to people a lot. A huge one for me would be music. I've been playing the violin for over 12 years. I play in the symphony here, so it's like, yeah.
Wow. You pretty good?
I'd say I'm decent, you know.
Yeah.
I'm wearing an All-State shirt right now. So this is from when I went to All-State junior year.
How does that work?
There's an audition process. You record like a couple tracks of scales, couple tracks of like notoriously difficult excerpts.
Gotcha.
And then you record 1 minute of solo repertoire. At least this is how it worked in Washington. And then you send that all in, and it gets judged by a panel.
Yeah. And
then they pick like the top, you know, few to form an orchestra. And then they get them together over like Labor Day weekend, I want to say. And then, I don't know, what's the one in February? National holidays always.
February? I don't know.
Valentine's Day.
No. It's like one of the Monday work-related holidays.
Labor Day?
Labor Day.
Oh, Labor Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they get you together over Labor Day weekend, and then they have like 2 days of rehearsal, or 1.5 days of rehearsal, and then you have a concert on like Sunday night. It's like over a weekend. It's like a really fast turnaround. You've just gotten together, and then you know you play like for 12 hours each day. And
Oh wow.
oh man, it was a lot of fun though. So
Yeah. What did you place? Did you do any good?
Yeah, I was. So I mean, I got in. So I mean, that's I was, you know, like that's pretty. I'd say that's a pretty decent accomplishment.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's sick.
Another thing about Veer, which he's probably too humble to share. He's a very nice, humble guy. He is a like fearless person in social situations. Veer can go up to anyone, and start an amazing conversation with them.
Really? That's important.
The like during slow days, the orientation thing, Veer was just like the funniest guy in the room for like all of our sessions that we had over Zoom. And then I get down here and I find that Veer is in my in-person orientation group, and I was so excited. And the first night that Veer and I met, we went around to just random people pretending that we were other random people. And to this day, there are still people who think that Veer is not Veer. I get sharing that on the internet now.
Oh no.
that's funny.
His name is
Wait a
actually
second.
Veer.
You're an imposter.
Yeah.
How was your WoW weeks or your WoWs? Your week
Oh, it was a
welcome?
lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
good time.
What'd you
Oh,
do?
yeah. Oh
Oh,
God,
man.
what didn't we do?
Everything. We did
Yeah.
paintball, kayaking.
You guys went paintballing and kayaking?
Hell yeah, man.
hiking.
What?
We
A lot
had-
of groups were very fortunate
Mhm.
with the leaders that they got in the
Yeah.
planning,
Oh,
and others
definitely,
were
yeah,
not
yeah.
so fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you land on that spectrum?
What? In the middle, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, we didn't go anywhere. Like the only place we went that was off campus was the farmers market.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's
So,
nice. Yeah.
But we did other things on campus. We were actually a very social group, and
Oh,
like we
good,
got to know
okay.
each other very well.
Nice.
Cool.
So I mean that part was cool. But I wish we went like kayaking or something.
Oh,
'Cause I saw pictures. I got really jealous.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How was that?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in Morro Bay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's sick.
Uh,
How have your classes been?
Oh, good.
Do you have a chemistry class?
I don't, not this quarter. I love
Oh.
chem though. Like I honestly wish I did.
I heard that chemistry class is beating up those.
Oh,
engineering
I heard,
majors.
yeah, yeah. I
It
am.
it's insane.
I-
Everyone I know who's in that, they're just getting killed right now.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And it's even with mine. Mine's like a gen ed
Mhm.
chemistry class. It's Chem 110, and theirs is like Chem 124 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still getting like pretty beat up by that class.
Yeah.
Like, no lie.
Man.
What classes are you taking then?
Oh, taking CS 123, which is like introduction or fundamentals, I guess. And then Comms 101, Calc 3, and Political Science 112, which is like American and Californian government.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You like that?
Oh yeah, they're all not very difficult classes. This is a pretty easy load this quarter. I'm just kind of coasting. So
all right, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm taking 3 engineering classes. So one's sort of like a general purpose mechanical engineering class. We've been taking apart engines, putting them back together.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Doing CAD modeling, just building things. That's the general one. Then I have my materials joining class, which is welding pretty much. And like sheet metal work, pretty much anything that it takes to put metal together to build something. And then the last of the engineering courses is my like freshman orientation to engineering. So it's just kind of, it's like a 1-unit class. It just makes you think about like, what do you want to do in engineering? Like what clubs do you want to join? Sort of like, how does your life and engineering intersect? That's a fun, sort of easy one. And then outside of that, I got my 3 like general classes. I have Calc, which is just like a general required engineering course, physics, and also music theory. Music theory is...
Ooh, that's cool.
It's actually my hardest class because I know nothing about music, unlike this guy. I can do engineering, but I can do engineering, math, and physics, but music that's past my pay grade.
How'd you get in there?
It was like my 3rd choice for for a general education class.
I know my school offered music theory the last year I was there. So when I was a senior, they offered music theory. And I heard that was probably the hardest AP class like ever at my school.
Oh, really?
Like it's pretty hard. Like music theory is like deep.
I've heard it's difficult. I never took it myself. I looked at the curriculum for a few years because I was looking at it. I mean, it'd be natural for me to take it. And it's a lot of like first semester. It's a lot of like rigorous theory, definitions, whatnot. What kind of chord is this? That sort of thing. And I don't know if you know musical stereotypes, but violinists in the classical music community aren't really known for like, just being good at like raw theory. It's a funny stereotype. But
why is that?
It's because they don't need to be. Pianist, you need to know chord structures and whatnot. Violinist, you can know and it helps. But violinists know, enough to get by. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not like they're completely incompetent, I should say, no matter what the stereotype says. But it's they don't. Whenever conductor asks the full symphony, like, all right, what is this theoretical motif? Usually it's not a violinist answering the question. I just find that funny. But the second semester is all melodic dictation, which is just...
What is that?
Melodic dictation is like they play like an excerpt for you.
Okay.
And then you're supposed to transcribe it down. Violinists would excel, particularly myself, would excel at that because you need like it requires you to have like a very good ear, and which is something like that you just naturally have to develop to play violin. So it's like,
how did you even pick that up? You said you've been playing for 12 years. Hey, how did you like get into that?
My teacher in kindergarten played violin like amateur, as an amateur, like about. And she brought her violin into school one day, and I was like, "Damn, that's pretty cool!" Like, so I started lessons. I was 5. I just turned 18, so like.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Yeah, so
that's sweet. That's dope. Did you play any sports growing up? Either of you?
A little bit of sports before high school, but then I got into high school and. My main thing really became science fairs.
Science fairs.
Science fairs were my sport in high school.
Tell us your favorite one.
Out of all my science fairs?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, there's this thing called the International Science and Engineering Fair, ISEF. And it's held every year in a different location, normally in the U.S. I think they're actually planning on hosting it in some other countries soon. But pretty much all the high school science fairs in the world funnel up to ISEF. And so every year, 1,700 students qualify for it. You got to qualify in regionals to make it to states. You got to qualify in states to make it to nationals. And you got to qualify in nationals to make it to the international competition. So you've got like the best of the best there every year. And the projects are just like absurd. It is so much fun to walk around the exhibit halls and see everything that everyone's working on. And so I qualified all 4 years of high school
For the
international
wow,
championships. Thanks.
that's sweet.
And so my freshman year, made it there. Didn't win anything while I was there, but still, it was just a week of awesomeness, meeting a lot of really cool people. Sophomore year, made it back, and that year I won third in the world in the embedded systems category. And then my junior year, I qualified again and won first in the world in the engineering mechanics.
Hold up. What did you make that got you first in the world?
So what I did was, I don't know if you're familiar with what SpaceX does with their rockets.
No, what
so
do they do?
pretty much the rockets take off, right? And normally after the rocket deploys its satellite or payload or whatever it is into space, the rocket just burns up in the atmosphere when it comes back in.
Okay.
And it just kind of comes down as dust. But these rockets are $60 million rockets.
Holy crap.
And so every time you launch something, you just like destroy your rocket.
You burn $60
in the
million,
process, right? But space is changing rapidly. It's given us so many possibilities that we didn't have before. And so what SpaceX has done is they've built reusable rockets. And a lot of other companies are starting to work on this too. But the rockets come up and then they actually come back down and they reignite their rocket motors and they deploy landing gear. And then the rocket lands standing up back on the launch pad or on the drone ship, wherever it's landing. And so that's really cool and all. And that is capable of happening right now at the very large orbital rocket scale, where you have liquid fueled motors that you can throttle down and big rockets that you can control. But what's happening right now is space payloads are getting a lot smaller. So just because like technology and microchips are getting smaller, we're starting to see a lot of much smaller rockets launching things into space.
Okay.
And the problem is that these smaller rockets are solid fueled rockets, which means the engines in them are a lot harder to control and you can't throttle them down in order to land. So what you have to do is you have to get really creative with that to figure out how to land a solid fueled rocket. And so what I did was I developed a full stack system. So software, hardware, ground systems, avionics, all that stuff. And I worked towards developing a solid fueled small launch vehicle that could propulsively land and be rapidly reused. And so at the core of it was this really complicated, or I should say really sophisticated throttling algorithm that I call bimodal cosine throttling. And pretty much what it is it's this novel way to convert vertical energy in the rocket into horizontal energy so that you can hit zero velocity at the minute you touch the ground. And so I developed the world's first ever computational proof that it's possible to throttle down a solid fueled rocket motor using software. And so...
Oh, is this what your aerospace team runs?
My aerospace team, so another rocket thing. I also run an aerospace engineering team that competes in a big rocketry competition.
Dude, that's like so sick.
Thank you.
What? Wow.
Thanks.
I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of what you were saying is a lot of big words that I don't know.
Yeah.
It just sounds like you probably did something really amazing.
It's hard to explain in really simple words. That's something I kind of struggle at and I'm working on. We formed a team and we found this competition called the American Rocketry Challenge. And pretty much it's this pre-collegiate challenge where teams have to build rockets to fit very precise specifications. And you get scored based on how high your rocket goes, pretty much how close it gets to a target altitude. So every foot that your rocket is off of the target altitude, a point gets added to your score, and you want the lowest score possible. So if you're like 10 feet too high, 10 points gets added. And then also on how close you get to the total target time duration of your rocket's flight. So if it takes off and lands and it's a second too long, 4 points get added for each second. So it's a competition that's all about precision. So these rockets that we build, they fly custom avionics, custom flight software, custom flight computers. We design and manufacture all the components of the rocket from the ground up. And they fly full active rocket or full flight active flight control. So the flight path of the rocket is being constantly updated from our software in flight. And so pretty much we have this proprietary method of adding drag to our rocket in flight so that we can get right to the perfect altitude. And in practice, we can get to within 4 feet of our target altitude.
Wow.
Every single flight. Wow. And then so our rocket deploys drone motors on the way down in order to control its descent rate. And in practice, we can hit the target time duration every single flight.
Wow.
And so this past year, we ended up winning the national competition with the best score in the history of the competition. Oh my God. And so
where do you guys meet? Like, what is this?
We meet in my basement.
Oh, so you have to go back home if you want to do it?
Oh, yeah. It was like a high school team, so I've passed on leadership now to
dope.
the new leaders. But yeah, we just ran a lab in my basement, and that's where we built everything.
That is so sick, dude. Like,
Thank you.
That's so sick.
Thanks.
How big are these rockets?
They're F-class rockets, so they're pretty small. They're, maybe this long, something like that.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, the competition's all about precision. So it's about building that software that works every time, building really strong airframes and components. And so since it's small rockets, it allows many people to compete in it because the barrier to entry is pretty low. You don't even need a L1 certification, which is something that you need to build bigger rockets. And so that means pretty much any high schooler can just sign up for this competition as long as they have a team of 3 to 10 people, and they can start building these rockets, which is a great way to get into STEM and learn more about aerospace.
You're going to know a lot about this, I think. What is like the future of rockets? Like, what is SpaceX's goal with these rockets?
Yeah. The goal is reusability.
Okay.
That is
like what would we use them for? Like,
oh yeah. Okay. So, I actually gave a TED talk about this.
Really?
Yeah. TEDx youth at Portland. I gave a TED talk on the future of space exploration and the importance of space exploration. So we're pretty much on this tiny, tiny little planet. And if you've ever seen a picture of Earth taken from a satellite that's like millions of miles away, you realize how incredibly isolated we are. And if we woke up tomorrow and detected an asteroid coming towards us, life as we know it would be desolated. It would be gone. Okay. We currently don't have the technology to get off this planet. And then also we've got extreme population growth. We've got more and more people coming into this world faster than there are people leaving the world. And, we're not sure what the carrying capacity of Earth is. This is a place that we want to protect. Yeah. It's the only place in the entire universe that we know that has life. And so, when you think about just like the isolation of Earth, you realize that we need to move out into space, into the universe. And so that's sort of like the long-term vision. And in the short term, space is offering just so many opportunities that we didn't have before. The big one is communication. There are people in developing nations in remote areas that are getting incredible internet now, and incredible access to education and healthcare and things like that because of things like Starlink and these communication constellations that are being built. That's a big one. We're seeing agriculture gain a ton of insight into weather patterns and how to properly grow food for a society because of these Earth observation satellites. We're tracking glaciers. There's just so much that you can do when you have a global perspective from satellites or anything that's up there. So that's what's happening right now. But then in the long term, of course, moving to Mars, setting up a more permanent in orbit habitation for humans. All this stuff is really critically important to the future of not just humanity, but literally life as we know it.
Is that the plan? Is that what you think's gonna happen?
Oh, 100%.
We're gonna go to Mars?
Yeah. Or Titan. Probably Mars.
What's Titan? Isn't that like a
that's a moon of
Saturn or something?
Jupiter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's got a lot of great qualifications for habitable life, but with the way that stuff's looking right now, Mars is almost certainly going to be the first.
That is so crazy. Wait, why aren't you in aerospace? You know a lot.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that. It's because I love every single type of engineering. I love mechanical engineering. I love writing code. I love aerospace, of course. I love electrical engineering. Right now, I'm designing part of a spacecraft that's launching on NASA's CSLI mission, and I'm designing an electrical subsystem. And so people always ask me, like, why aren't you in aero? And it's because aero for me is like a little more condensed and a little more narrow than what I want to do. I want to like sort of get a big picture idea of engineering as a whole. And so I'm actually thinking about switching to general engineering and just kind of creating like a customized path towards my degree.
What are your hopes out of like this college experience? Like, what do you want to do as soon as you get out of college? And or like why, if you have a lot, it sounds like you have a lot of prerequisite things that you've done in the past. What is your hope and like what's the benefit of college for you right now?
Yeah. So engineering is one of those things that is good to get a degree in.
Okay.
If you're building anything that has to do with human lives, having a concrete degree is generally a pretty good thing.
Okay. Gotcha.
If you are, designing something that is not critical to like a life, you can learn all that stuff just like on your own. But if you're designing like a rocket or a plane or a spaceship or, something that like if what you design goes wrong could cause harm to a person.
Yeah.
Having those credentials behind you is going to back up those decisions that you make in the future. And so as you might be able to tell from that, like I want to design spaceships. That's kind of the big term goal. Like I love designing anything that has the possibility of going up there.
Yeah.
I just love space. But right out of college, really, it would probably be, maybe it's working in a big company, but the pipe dream is having a business idea of my own that I could launch near the end of my college career. And as soon as I get my degree, I could jump on that full time, building my own business.
That's super sweet. It sounds like you've already done a lot of things.
Thanks.
Sounds like you've been working hard since you were like a freshman. Like,
yeah.
Really hard. How did you even get the opportunity to have a TED Talk?
I just heard that they were accepting applications from people. And so for a few weeks, I just went hard drafting up an idea and putting together an application to the TED organization and submitted it and got accepted a few weeks later.
That's sweet. What's that one movie? It's a science fair also.
Yeah. It's probably called Science Fair.
No.
That's the big one.
It's the cartoon movie.
Oh. There's been some documentaries about ISAF.
No, what's the movie? It has like the character, he's like in the red costume. And his name's like, and he gives the hugs. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Whatever.
Oh.
Whatever. It just made me think of that because it was a science fair and he created like this thing that was like really cool to humanity.
Oh,
so I feel like maybe you're going to do that or something.
Thanks.
I don't know.
Thanks.
That's sweet.
Thank
Dude,
you.
got it. That's sweet. What about you? We got anything that's like pretty sick?
I mean, I don't know. I genuinely I love being here because I can crank out like side projects every other week.
What are you working on?
Ooh.
Veer's always got a devious side project in mind.
Trying to find one I can actually talk about.
There's some internal interesting ideas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Just gonna avoid the question entirely.
Okay, yeah.
So, I just see everything here as like an opportunity. I know that's like a super cliche thing to say, but it really is. Yesterday, I'll give you an example. So like yesterday, I got my food. I like filled up, the tumblers they give you with the meal plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I filled that up. I was walking back and I like freaking dropped it as I was like opening the door because I was holding so many things and it like broke and like stuff went everywhere. However, now I have access to the RFID chip inside at like, no extra cost to me. Like before I was debating, I was like, do I like open this up and grab the chip, and screw around with that? But now I don't have to, because it's already happened for me.
What can you do with that chip? Just put it on the bottom of a cup and then just keep on using it?
That would be the most basic thing, right?
Oh, so you're saying...
We can take this... Okay, like, how far do you want to take
So you're saying that instead of having 10 free refills, you might be able to add a couple zeros to that?
Theoretically. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying what I'm saying, like, hypothetically, like, if you wanted to, it's not impossible.
How would you even do that? How do you, like, is that something mechanical, or do you have to plug it into, like, here and then do something, like, digital?
It's digital. So, hypothetically, again, I would just like to point out, this is all
these
purely
are all hypotheticals.
Nobody here is planning on doing any of these things, ever.
Okay, yeah.
So, I learned recently, actually, that the school uses the service from this company called ValidFill, right? And essentially what they do is they have reprogrammable RFID chips. You read them. I believe there's a proprietary encryption on them. Just, standard. But if you're able to modify them the same way, right? If using the same, they basically have like a proprietary reader, and it's got like, I believe it's gonna have something in it, like a key, which allows you to, read and modify the data on the chip. So if you can access that yourself, you could hypothetically do whatever the hell you wanted with that, right? So you have this chip which dispenses, we'll say 100 or 10, depending on your meal plan.
Yeah.
Refills a quarter. But I mean, it could also, be like infinite, or I mean, you could get really crazy and do something probably, this is, again, hypothetical. Pure, like, even more dubious.
What? Tell me what.
You could modify the, so the machines themselves are very, very software. Like, they're very, very heavy in software. Like, you think your average soda machine at this point is not going to have, that much programmability. So, you could actually modify the software on that device to do, again, basically whatever the hell you want. This is why I love programming so much. It's because there's so much, you have so much power over things like this. Like, your computer there can do just about anything, right? And you just have to tell it how.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Can I share Operation Soda Steel?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so this was
exciting.
3 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago, yeah. Just about.
Veer and I are having dinner, a nice romantic dinner together. And we're looking at the soda machines. We're talking about the RFID chips in the cups and whatnot. And I was thinking, I was like, man, I wonder if like the soda machines actually calculate how much volume is coming out, or if as long as a chip's there, they just will dispense liquid in like one refill as long as you keep holding the button down. So, with this in mind, we come back here. We grab my caliper. We grab one of the soda cups, and I open up Fusion 360, this CAD software to design 3D objects. And I designed this little mount that goes on the top of the existing tumblers. And what it does is it clips onto the top, and it has this little funnel that funnels liquid not into the cup, but actually into another adjacent cup on the side. And so
you could just keep switching out cups, or like have a very large cup there and just keep going.
Or it could go down into a tank.
Yeah.
And this is all based on the assumption that the machines do not calculate volumetric flow rate. So like how much soda is actually coming out. Mm-hmm. So it takes us 5 or 6 minutes to design it in CAD.
Yeah.
I send it over to my 3D printer in my dorm room, and we print it out. And a couple hours later, we have this plastic device that we can just clip onto the top of the tumbler. So we clip it onto the top of the tumbler. We run over to VG's 5 minutes before they close, and we stick it under the soda machine.
Wait, hold on. Did you bring a 3D printer here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. And so we clip it on, or we put it under the soda machine. We get a refill. We start refilling it, and it shuts off just after where it would be if it filled up a tumbler.
And the one try we did, there was some finagling happening. I would like to see if we can do a retrial.
I think we need to try.
Yeah, I think we need to again. I think theoretically, I would like to test it again, but I think the working hypothesis we have right now is that they do indeed track the amount of volume per refill. And so that's where modding the firmware itself comes into play, because
What's
which is
firmware?
very, very hypothetical.
What's a
very hypothetical. Okay, so you know what BIOS is?
no?
Okay, so when you boot up your machine, so I mean, and Mac, it doesn't really show that stuff for the most part. But if you like boot up your average like Windows box from several years ago, was your average like school computer, right? There's gonna be this like black and white text screen before it boots into the operating system. That's essentially where you see the BIOS. It's a basically basic input output system. It's the stuff that interfaces between the hardware, like your CPU and your memory, and the software, specifically the operating system. So that's actually what my dad, does for a living. He essentially makes and modifies BIOS, and so I don't know, just fun fact. But
That's cool. That's sick. That's actually sick.
Yeah, and so so we were looking at essentially modding the software firmware on that, which is like, it sounds like a fun project. You get either myself or take someone from the CPE department or something, and just I mean the possibilities are endless.
I'm really awestruck by how smart both of you are. Like, you guys are both very intelligent people.
You're too nice.
Or it could just be that you guys are very curious people. Maybe
That's mostly it.
I mean, I'm a curious idiot. That's how I think of myself.
Me too.
So, yeah.
Me too.
That's super dope. If you guys actually like figure out some way to like hack those little chips, that'd be so funny. You have to tell me if you do.
Definitely.
I mean, this is all hypothetical.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
100%. No one's actually going out and doing this. This is purely for conceptual discussion. Just a
Yep.
disclaimer.
We were just theorizing.
Yeah.
100%.
That's exactly what happened. Do you like your little 3D printer? Is it cool?
Oh, I love it.
Tell me about it. I want to get one kind of.
So the best brand out there are Prusas. Prusa.
Okay.
Objectively. He's like objectively the best.
I am a diehard fan of them. So traditionally, or I guess I should say over the past 5-ish years or so, before Prusa really started making high quality stuff, there was just like a swarm of all these different types and brands of 3D printers that were obscenely overpriced and worked like probably a quarter of the time, and were really slow. And then Prusa comes along, and they are working on their main machine, just called the Prusa. And now they have released the third main iteration of it, the Prusa i3 Mark IIIs. The i3 is like their main machine.
Gotcha.
And it is an absolute beast of a printer. I have had maybe 2 print failures after well over like over 100 days of straight print time on it.
What would be a print failure like?
It messes up on a part and I have to restart the part.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like maybe 2, because I was probably like really pushing the limits of the machine or whatever. 3D printing still isn't a quick thing. Depending on the quality of what you're printing and whatnot, it'll take several hours to print. If you're printing something really complex and big, it might take a day and a half, something like that. But the thing is that you're not touching the printer during that time. It's just off, doing its thing. So you just let it sit. These new printers, they're really compact. They work great. That's sort of the main thing. Like when you click print, you want to know that it'll just like print and you don't have to worry about it. And the things that you can build with them nowadays are just amazing. Like I was saying earlier, it took us like 5 or 6 minutes to just like design this thing in CAD and slice it and then send it to the printer. Slicing is the like operation where you take a 3D file and then you actually tell the printer like what it needs to do to actually make it. You're not really telling it what to do. You just change some settings and then the computer generates all that for you. Then you send that off to the printer. Prusas nowadays, they work great. It's what we use on the aerospace engineering team. It's what I use to print just about everything for my own personal rockets, a lot of drone parts too. You got crazy awesome materials that you can print in now. You can print in carbon fiber infused nylon and just awesome, crazy strong stuff. And if you send stuff off to get professionally 3D printed, you can print in metals, ceramics, just like crazy stuff.
What's the future of this 3D printing? Is it pretty big?
Oh yeah.
What's gonna happen? What are you guessing?
Well, the coolest thing is 3D printed rockets, like big rockets. So
I mean, of course, you would say that.
Exactly. Yeah. I may have a little bias there, but there are companies, well, I guess like Rocket Lab with their Electron rocket. Their main engine is 3D printed because 3D printing gives you access to things that you can't do with traditional manufacturing methods. So traditionally, if you want to make a rocket engine, you're probably going to build 500 parts and you're going to machine them all out on a mill that comes in and cuts out material. It's subtractive manufacturing because you're removing material to make your part. And then you spend hundreds of hours with technicians assembling these rocket motors. But with 3D printing, you come in layer by layer and start layering up your material, additive manufacturing, because you're adding material to make your part. And so what you can do is you can make features inside of your part in just one singular part that you would not be able to do with subtractive manufacturing because you couldn't get a tool in there to do that, to remove that material. And since you're layering it up, you have access to the inside of those parts before they actually get completely fused together and finished. And so what might have been 500 parts a few years ago can now be 5 parts now that you 3D print and put together.
That's pretty crazy.
Holy crap.
It's cool.
What? That's actually sick. Is there a lot of, on that software app that you have, is there a lot of things that go behind the scenes? Like you coding a lot of things to create? Or is it just kind of like drawing? Like what is it?
So, for like actually designing a part?
Yeah, like the little couplet that you designed. Like
there's no coding. A lot of it, everything that you design, at least in this CAD software, there's dozens of great CAD softwares out there that all have sort of different theories of how you start a design. And some of them, you might want to use for a rocket. Some of them you might want to use for a car. Some you might want to use for simple 3D printing, right? They all have different applications. The one that I use, everything is based off of a sketch, which is a pretty common thing in the CAD field. So you sort of look at your the part you want to build from like one dimension, and you sketch out all the different things that'll be there. So like for the cup thing, I sort of like sketched out on a 2-dimensional plane. Okay, this is how big this circle should be in this circle. And then here's where like the little inlet is for the little faucet type thing. And then I just extruded those parts and did, a number of different type of, and those different 3-dimensional commands sort of make that 2-dimensional sketch come out. And then, maybe I need a sketch on a different plane or on a different side and create more features from that 2-dimensional sketch. But there's really no coding or anything crazy like that. It's just like, imagine you're drawing it on paper, except you're drawing it on the computer, and then you're applying 3D operations to that 2-dimensional sketch.
What's CAD stand for you?
Computer aided design.
Oh, okay. Huh. That's pretty sick.
Thanks.
So can you build pretty much anything you want on there?
Pretty much anything.
Oh, that's so sick. That is so sick. Thanks. I'm like, this whole conversation has passed like 30 minutes. I've been like really just like, holy crap. How did you both get into like, because for me, high school, like it was kind of hard as in like, I wasn't invested. I didn't invest myself too much. I needed good grades, obviously. Mm-hmm. I did that, but I didn't find a passion early on. And I wasn't like, oh, I love engineering. I love computer science. What made you like pick that and stick with it and then do all these things that are just crazy? Like how did you have that self-motivation at such a young age?
For me, like life's short. Like statistically speaking, I got maybe 60 more years till I hit the hay. And it's 60 years to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And
that's so sweet.
I get really kind of sad if I go a day without doing something awesome or funny or exciting.
Yeah.
Because that's just like one day that you haven't lived.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think about that a lot. Just sort of like a year from now or 10 years or on my deathbed, I want to look back and just feel like life was insanely fun and exciting.
Fulfilled.
And filled. That's the perfect word. Just I want to feel like I really spend every day to the max. Either doing something cool or having fun.
What about you?
It's very similar for me.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's what I love. I got to do it. At any given time, I just feel like I need constant stimulus for like everything. So like my course load this quarter, I find to be it's pretty light, I would say.
Yeah.
It's sure it's like 17 units, but like those 17 units aren't in anything like significant or anything like really difficult.
Subjectively,
Sure, we'll say. And so I find I'm like in like I applied for a job. I'm in already 3 different clubs. I'm just
oh wow,
I just sort of like do what I can at all times. Like I said, I'm constantly churning out side projects here, and that's because here of all places, like I just feel like you can find people who think the same way. Like Ryan and I think extremely similarly.
Very
it's
similar.
scary at times.
We finish each other's sentences all the time.
Yeah. No.
This is a question I like to ask a lot of people, and it's a good question. Do you think that your version of success is financial stability, or like your version of success is your dream, like you accomplishing your dream?
Definitely my dream.
Your dream?
My version of success might include financial stability.
Okay, yeah.
But financial stability is not success in and of itself, in my opinion. You can live a boring, financially stable life all you want.
Yeah.
And it might be conventionally successful, or it might, but I don't know. For me, something would just be missing all the time. I absolutely love putting myself in situations where I need to push myself to like my maximum or beyond normal operating capacity in order to I guess make ends meet with everything. So I'll like triple book myself at times.
He does a lot.
Yeah, or like just because I feel the most alive at that time. So
yeah, it's important to like live a life that when you're like you mentioned, when you know you're at the end of it, like you sit back and you're at peace with what you've done with your life, and you know that what you've done was good subjectively. It's important. Do you watch Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I love him.
Yeah, he's an astrophysicist, right?
Yep.
definitely.
Is that something you like?
It's cool. I don't think it's a profession I would go into. Just because I think I like things that have more like, I guess, immediate impacts. Like I like being able to build something and then like see that thing that I built. And astrophysicists focus on much larger theories and ideas. How the universe come to be. What's the universe going to be like in a billion years? A lot of things that are really important to our society, and I got mad respect for astrophysicists because what they do is just like insane.
Yeah.
But just me personally, I like building stuff that I like can work on with my hands.
Oh yeah, that's like the difference between science and engineering, in my opinion. Both are cool, hands down. Both are, crazy cool. You can do a lot with both, but for me, it's just the actual physical. I have something now that I just made is really what drives me. So.
What's really weird to think about is like within the past 50 years, like the technological advances that we've made, and then like even weirder to think about what we're gonna do in the next 50 years. What do you think's gonna happen?
Oh God,
some crazy stuff.
Definitely.
Driverless cars.
Yeah.
Be a big
oh
part.
yeah, probably.
Electric aircraft are another thing that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, electric. Oh my God.
Are they starting to do that?
A little.
They're working on it. It's like the battery technology isn't quite there yet. That's really what that actually is what it all revolves around. Figuring out how we can fit enough energy into a light enough mass in order to make it feasible for a full-sized aircraft to be able to fly under electric power.
Yeah, that's another thing that's crazy to think about. Like, what's the theoretical maximum amount of energy you can shove into a given gram? It's it's crazy. E equals mc squared. So it's literally per gram of mass. What's that? Like 3.8 times 10 to the 7th or so.
Like mass is literally just energy at just really low frequencies.
Yeah. It's like.
Wait, so you're saying that we're just like balls of energy or something?
We're literally just energy that is vibrating really slowly. Like,
we're just quite literally just clouds, very spacious clouds of energy. Like, how much of us do you think is just space? Like not actually anything
So you're saying we could be a lot more dense than we are?
The point I was trying to make, well, I mean that too, but the point I'm trying to make is that battery technology. I mean, well, it's really cool. It's just from a theoretical, from the perspective of the theoretical maximum, is very inefficient, because I obviously have no real way of no real idea at the moment of improving it from where it is now to anything near what it would be at its theoretical maximum. There is just so much.
You can fit a lot of energy into a really small space,
which we just don't.
Yeah, and we don't know how to do that.
We don't know how. So
what's like the thing? Like, what do you mean? Like, what's blocking from us knowing? Just
chemistry,
not knowing.
Just not knowing.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing that's blocking us from building a crazy AI or a computer that is 1,000,000 times more powerful. It's just one of those things that takes technological, scientific, and engineering sort of repetition. You got to design something, you bring it to market so that you can actually get a huge sample of how it works, and then a year after you release it, a new version comes out, right? Because they've had that year to work on it, improve it, and just year after year, you start getting better and better batteries. I build drones as a hobby, and so I work a lot with drone batteries, which are always the single most heavy component on a drone, followed closely behind by just that actual frame structure of the drone. And the batteries, just since I've started building drones, have gotten exponentially better and lighter. And I've been building drones for only 6 years now. And in those 6 years, battery technology has gone exponentially.
Who is your biggest idol? Who do you look up to the most?
That's a hard one.
I might need a minute to think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I look up to quite a lot of people just for different things. Like I look up to my parents a lot.
Yeah.
As I mean, they've done a lot, and I mean, like I might look up to my someone down the hall because they can do a particular thing very well. It's for me, it's not about which one person you look up to. It's about
like characteristics and personalities of people.
Exactly. It's like finding the people that it's like finding people who exude a particular, who are very good at particular things, and looking up to them for those things
and learning from them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Because
I know exactly what you mean.
Everybody's good at something. Everybody's useful for something.
Yeah.
Of
course.
And that's truly beautiful in my opinion.
Everyone, I love this word. It's called Sonder. This is kind of like, it's closely related to what we're talking about, but it's that everyone is living their own unique life, and everyone also has everyone's going through something just as much as you're going through something. So everyone's life's hard, everyone's life's unique, everyone's life's crazy. And it's pretty cool to think about.
It is.
Just meeting you two for the past 59 minutes we've been here, you two are actually sick.
Thanks.
I'm pretty sick and sick.
You're pretty cool yourself. I mean, I don't know anybody else who
just sets up a podcast. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. What about you?
If I had to choose one person, it would probably be Mark Rober.
Who's that?
He is now a YouTuber, but an engineer at heart. He used to work at Apple as an engineer, and then he quit his day job to make videos online, and now he just builds really cool things and shares it with the internet.
I've seen this guy.
Yeah,
he's super sick.
Elephant's toothpaste things he does for fun.
He has done actually really crazy things.
His glitter bomb box is this thing he made that sits in a package, and it catches thieves who steal packages off of doorsteps. And when they open the box, it sprays out fart spray and throws glitter and glue everywhere.
That's funny, actually.
And he's just a really he's one of those guys that knows how to balance engineering and communication, and sort of figuring out end goals. And so there, you can imagine it as a Venn diagram. Some people like know what the end goal is, but they don't really know how to like communicate or like build it. Some people are really good at building things. And some people are really good at like talking through things, but maybe they don't know the technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Mark Rober's a guy who like fills every single one of those. He kind of lives in that middle of the Venn diagram. So he has a great vision for end products. He can really go about building them. And then he shares them. He has, I don't know how many millions of subscribers.
It said 20 million.
20 million. That's crazy. So 20 million people subscribe to him because he's so good at communicating.
He has a great way of like, even if you say, because I'm not an engineer, but I'm so fascinated by his videos and I've seen a few of them just because the way he presents them. He has a great way of presenting things in a way that gets your attention. It's very entertaining.
Communication within engineering is probably just as important, if not more important, as the actual hardcore technical engineering aspect of things.
There was there was a video of him that I watched, and it was they were trying to measure the one-way speed of light or something, because it was like, I don't know, this is a weird, it's like kind of a tangent, but because they were like, if we were to send a light signal from Earth to the moon, and then back from the moon to the Earth, how would we measure? Because do we know, like, if it's there in 10 seconds and then back in 10, or is it there in 5 and back in 15, or is it there in, like, there's no way of like measuring it because we wouldn't know.
That was a pretty, wasn't that a big deal? There used to be this like conception in science, and I don't know how long ago, but there used to be this idea of this thing called like aether, right? Which was just this thing that was present in space, and it just kind of slowed, light. So as like light would go one way, it would go like I don't know the exact name of the experiment, but essentially the general principle was that light would be slower one way than another because it's moving through this like this like invisible substance.
Yeah.
But that was proven to be not true, which was like a really big conception shattering thing back in the. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know a whole lot off the top of my head about it, but I remember reading about it in like middle school, thinking it was really cool. So,
space, physics, chemistry, it's engineering, everything's so interesting about that. And
That's for sure.
That's sick. Like, I've learned a lot today just from sitting with you two. Like, that's pretty sick. Well, we're reaching the end of an hour. You ready to wrap it up? You guys satisfied?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
This has been super awesome. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
this has been sick.
I love talking about this stuff.
This has been episode number 21 of The Meadow. This has been Dylan.
Ryan.
Veer.
Peace.
See ya.